Okay. Well, see how that goes. Okay. Okay, everyone, how are you feeling tonight? Rushed and stressed because you don't know how to work technology? Is that just me? It's too much. The world is too much sometimes.
I considered doing a live stream from Scotland last year when we were doing our show, but I just put the kibosh on that. I couldn't add that to my plate.
Okay, well tonight for those of you who received the email and already know ahead of time, we're going to explore how to work with thinking and practice. It's just such an incredibly rich area of practice. It is the number one thing that people ask about. It is the thing that trips all of us up. And so just starting to do that, honestly, the movement is extremely helpful, I found, with that exploration. So we'll use this in a couple of ways. One, to just kind of like knock off the rust from the day, feel good and relax the body, which is always very supportive. And then to also start to explore, which then you'll see those themes woven into the meditation and Dharma later as well. So we can start on our backs. And you can lengthen your legs out. You could also just have your feet on the ground, whatever feels best for you at this moment. Nice. You might take a deep breath in through the nose. Then open the mouth, let it go. And you might take another deep breath in. And opening the mouth to release. Nice. So allow the breath to be quite natural. So whatever that breath print, whatever that pattern is totally fine. See if it's possible to just sense the breath. Just feeling the breath move through the back of the throat. Maybe sensing the breath moving into the lungs. Feeling the body respond to breathing, so the feeling of the body moving into clothing, right? Touching clothing a little bit more or less. And as we continue to sense the breath, or maybe kind of toggling, let's also notice that sense of the back of the body resting on the ground. So just for a moment, bring to mind, like, oh, what is the back body? So maybe for you that conjures an image of the back of your body, literally, like feeling and seeing in the mind's eye a back resting on the ground. Or maybe you're imagining or kind of seeing the color of the blanket that you're resting against, or the color of the ground. And then you might notice, if you're not sure of what those things are, you might notice the mind kind of like looking for that a little bit. And then see if it's possible again to just sense the body resting on the ground. So what are those sensations? There might be some pressure. There might be some weight. There might be some heat. These are ways that we can use words to describe, but ultimately we're putting words to things that we're sensing, rather than sensing something that is a word. That makes sense. It might sound like a little bit of a koan. Okay, so we just keep sensing the body. So let's begin here, just by bringing those arms into cactus arms, so little goalpost arms, so you can bend the elbows about 90 degrees, bring the backs of the hands to the floor. Very good. Okay, and then just bring, the backs of the hands down, so that might mean that your elbows are a little bit closer or a little bit farther away from the sides of the waist, it doesn't matter. And then on your in-breath, let's just slide one arm alongside the ear, like you're stretching that hand towards the wall behind you. Let the back of the hand, let the back of the arm touch the floor the whole time, so you're really feeling that tactile feedback. Then on the next in-breath, we can reach the other side arm, just reaching it nice and long, and sensing the arm as it comes back to its place as you exhale. So just inhaling, reaching the first arm, and exhaling to come all the way back. And as your next in-breath comes in, go ahead and reach that arm alongside here. And then exhale to bring it back to its starting side. Nice. Do that one more time on each side. Just without the prompting. And then as we come back to the center, let's again drop the arms by the sides. Maybe lengthen out the legs now. And just pause and sense how much of the body feels available resting against the ground. Nice, and then very similarly, just another super simple movement. So leaving the head heavy against the ground, so go ahead and roll the head, kind of rolling the head to one side, so like you're trying to reach the chin or the cheek towards one shoulder. And then exhale, roll your head back to the center. On your next in-breath, you'll just roll your head to the other side. And then exhale, come back to the center. So you're just really rolling the head side to side. So simple. Okay, you don't have to think about the movement too much. You can really just start to sense. And maybe even start to smooth that movement out a little bit. Okay, and see if it's possible to become aware of the whole transition. Right, we tend to kind of like think in endpoints. It's a cultural thing. It's a way that we can change in many different aspects of life. So let's think like, I'm just seeing the whole spectrum here of rolling the head side to side, sensing what that feels like. Maybe through the neck, through the shoulders. Excuse me. And as the head comes back to center, now turn the palms down towards the floor. Just bring the fingertips in contact with the floor. Right? So now we'll start to inhale and reach, just sliding those fingertip pads along the floor, along the blanket, towards this wall of windows, towards the front wall. And then as you exhale, come on. Okay, so then we inhale, stretch the other side arm. And exhale, come out. Okay, so just going side to side. Great, and you can start to allow the head to be nice and loose with this. Okay, so if the head could just roll whichever way it's going to roll, would it roll towards the arm that's sliding away or towards the shoulder that's lifting? Nice, so just loosening, sensing. Okay, letting the arms reach, letting the head roll side to side. Just loosening this whole upper body area. Great. And then as you Finish up on both sides. You can again pause, sense. Again, feel what's happening inside of the body. And so we always kind of begin with this first establishment, this first foundation of mindfulness, of awareness of the body, mindfulness of the body, because it gives us a landing place. So we can sense air on skin, we can sense the body resting on the floor, we can sense the breath. And we know, presence and present. The body's always happening right now. Okay, and then those of you for whom it works, go ahead and bend one knee at a time, bring your feet to the floor. Great, you'll interlace the hands behind the head. Nice elbows nice and wide. Just pause here, it's really simple movement. You're going to feel the blanket kind of shift with you. So go ahead and inhale to arch the back. You'll feel the belly fill. You'll feel the backs of the arms pressed to the floor. And then exhale. Go ahead and try to smush the spine into the floor. Great, such good yarn. Inhale as we arch the back. And then exhale, go ahead and just smush the spine into the floor. Okay, let's add on this other movement here. So as we inhale, arch the back. And we exhale, drop the spine to the floor. Hug the elbows together above the face. They're not really going to touch, but in that direction. And then try to curl chin towards the chest, rounding the spine up. Right, so it's like a poorly done sit-up, but really lovely for stretching the spine. Inhale, take the elbows wide, arching the back. And exhale to hug the elbows together and round the spine. So just stretching the neck, stretching along that inner border of the shoulder blades. Really good. Great. You don't have to lift very high, or you certainly could lift high. Great. Nice. And what happens as you just move into this very, very simple movement? You move in, you move out of it. You don't have to over-intellectualize it. This is just something the body can do. And then as you're ready, again, release. Just dropping the arms, pausing, sensing, feeling here. Right, so we might notice, right? We have, of course, the sense of touch. It's one of the 6 senses that we have. We also have the sense of tasting, sense of smelling, sense of seeing. We have the sense of hearing. So what is that sensation of hearing? Maybe noticing vibration, touching the eardrum, touching through the ear door. And then notice what it feels like to listen, right? So it's listening, like, oh, yeah, maybe there's an element of trying to like figure something out within that listening, right? To gather information, to kind of pull it in. So there might be a sense of like listening to what I say. But can there also be a sense of like, oh, I just know that there's some hearing happening. Okay, so again, let's float the arms out to the sides. And let's just make a nice big T with the arms. Great, yeah, just push stuff out the way. Yeah, make yourself space. Great, let's take the feet as wide as the mat. or as wide as your blanket, or wider than the hips if that feels comfortable. And then you can go ahead and just let the knees drop side to side. Long stand back here. Great. That's dropping side to side. Yeah. And as you just drop side to side, and just feel the body moving in space. As you might notice where in the body you feel sensation. You might notice what those sensations are. Like, is it like light? Is it heavy? Is it cool? Is it warm? Is it smooth? Is it hard? Does it feel yellow? Does it feel blue? Everybody's mind works a little differently. So just kind of like figure out this is a figuring out your mind. Okay? And that's what makes it so fun and just so rich as a practice. Good. When that feels good, you feel pretty nice on that. Then pause in the center again. Okay, I just feel like the weight of the pelvis, back of the pelvis, the weight of the back body. Shoulders releasing. Yeah, so release the hands behind the head. Feet are still on the floor. Just add just a little bit more to that spinal undulation movement. Okay, so as you inhale, go ahead and arch the back, press the backs of the arms into the floor. Notice that sensation, and then we'll exhale, curl up, hugging the elbows together. And try to just draw the elbows towards one hip. You can roll on that bottom shoulder. And come back to the center, open wide. Nice, take a big breath in. And then exhale, go ahead, curl up, and just roll to the other shoulder. Okay, so just opening the stuff along, you can see with the shoulder blades for most of us, but maybe not all. Great, and we can notice, does this feel good? Right? Does it feel good or does it not feel good? And instead of like, oh, that being a thought, like, yeah, it's like we can really trust the body's response to this. So if it feels good, how do you know that it feels good? How do you know that it feels pleasant? If it doesn't or didn't feel pleasant, how did you know that? Right? So that's just a natural knowing. It's like it's beautiful natural knowing. When you're ready to release, you can go ahead and release. Go ahead and drop both arms down by your sides. Awesome. Lengthen the legs if that's available to you. But you can always drop the knees together if you're on the floor. Just pause. Again, sense and feel. As we let the body become heavier, as we allow the mind to relax, we don't have to search for concepts, we don't have to search for understanding. It naturally arises in its own time. And we just take care moment to moment. All right, let's bring those arms back into the cactus arms. Just one more movement here. Okay, so start as we kind of began this whole exploration today. So just very simply. So let's inhale, reach one arm towards the wall behind you. And at the same time, reach that same side leg towards the windows. So we're reaching one arm nice and long, we're reaching the same side leg in opposition, and then exhale. Okay, and then let's do that again. So stretching one arm, stretching the same side leg, and just noticing where do we feel that in the body, and exhale. We're just riding away the breath. Great, so you're going your pace, you're going on your timing. Loudly, we're just following, sensing, feeling. Nice. And then release. Yeah, let it go. So as you feel through the body, introduce just the element of choice. Right? So notice what comes up around having a little choice. What does the body need right now? What would feel really good? Maybe a little ankle to knee, a little figure four stretch might feel good. Maybe just kind of rolling around, maybe just resting here on the back. Yeah, nice hugging knees in the chest, lovely. So just take a minute or so to kind of, feel into that, and follow that. Ah. Right, and you might be able to sense this kind of like, is there some energy around making a decision? Some energy around trying to figure it out? And if so, where do you feel that energy? How do you know that that's happening? Right, this is just the crux of our exploration in this practice. And then as you feel ready to allow yourself to rest, allow yourself to just hang, find a comfortable position. If you'd like something like a blanket for underneath your knees or something underneath the skull, underneath the neck, just let me know. You can just raise a hand. I'll come to you. If you feel good as you are, just be as you are. Just be a couple of minutes of just resting, continued resting. Just taking your time, deepening your breath. You're very welcome to stay as you are. People probably will start filtering in for another few minutes, so feel free. Yeah, move fairly freely. Move freely. Use the restroom, get some water, make yourself a cup of tea, of course. And then we'll just set up as we do. Taking care of the body and just resting a little bit. It's hard. It's hard. Man. Really high and dry. Right, well, it's another good learning opportunity. Okay, right. Yeah.
How's it going?
Jesus. I feel like, right? Yeah.
Second. Yeah. Oh, yeah, me too.
Jeff, this is your first time in the new space?
My second.
You said I'm not sure you're not.
Yeah. I came back for the skeleton.
Charlie, Laura moved his diaphragm. Oh.
So do you do your classes in this space too?
Oh, yeah. This is the spot. Yeah, it's great.
How many people do you fit in here?
We had our first community class, we didn't put a cap on it, and we had 40 people in here, which was too many. It was like very close, and people were just like in the hallway. And then we did them last Saturday where I think we had 26. And that felt very full as well. So we had classes capped at 20. Yeah,
Or is it?
it was a lot.
Okay, everybody just do mountain.
I know.
That's it.
Yeah, it was like nobody spread your arms too wide.
All right.
Nobody snaps some fields, no kicks to the face.
It was close volume. All of our friends to see.
Yeah, I don't know.
The weather's getting better.
I know, always.
Alex was planning to come and then she texted me and she's like, I'm just gonna stay home and sit outside. Meditate outside, yeah.
She's on her front porch for sure.
Oh yeah, I chair and everything.
She's swinging.
You know, I said to her the other day, went to her house and I was like, you know, like Court knew what she was doing when she roomed us together. She definitely knew what she was doing.
Of course.
Like,
Very careful consideration goes into all of that. What's it called, friend? Sparkle joints. I do miss those sparkle joints.
yeah, I remember.
Closer, further for you?
That's when the sparkles need to happen.
I just do. The last 2 weeks I paid.
You are so far.
Oh,
You are the cheese that stands alone. I know. The line is fun. We've never done
Sounds
that
like
before.
the further one, let's see. The main one, which is right.
We're running a little behind tonight.
Yeah.
Said,
That's
"Oh,
right.
but I also.
Hi, how you doing?
They have yet to see that, so that's good. But yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow.
I was at work, so I'm in here again.
Okay. Yeah.
Going bummer. That's the-
No, that was all
That-
I could hear about it. Like,
Now that the weather's nicer, it'd be nice to watch them.
but there's 7 stars. I don't know.
Yeah, let's it's good. Yeah. Breakfast. You know, it's not for You like it? I like it too.
I'm kind of more of like a, I really like taquerias. Like, I like it good. Kind
I don't know that, but.
of, I like a spot that offers me to go.
Lucia's. I used to work for a guy who Lucia's on Atwell's. Is that a good one? Not sure by your. So there's one on.
Critical.
Yes.
Critical.
The other one is closing. The one everybody knows. Down? The one, something factory. The one that everybody knows the most.
So the Tulumas?
Tulumas is closing. Yeah. Yeah, that was my go-to, but there's
Yeah.
better, you think?
It's better, Lucia's is better, yeah.
Lucia.
Yeah, but I really liked, Tulumas just to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe they already did it.
Oh, yeah.
No.
I don't need over.
And then found that one and was like, oh. But now we go to Poco Loco all the time.
Oh,
And it's
that's-
like,
Gosh, I think we went once or twice. But that was
like this action.
3 weeks ago, they filed for bankruptcy.
Wow.
So I think they're still open.
Yeah, they extended 2 months, they had 3, they went from 1 to 3 locations.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I just went on Sunday, so they're definitely still open.
Yeah, they're open, but they're on the edge. It's like David Street Taco kind of thing. Your place?
Lucia's is on Atwell's,
Yeah.
an actual brick and mortar place.
That they've got those soft tacos.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they got all the standards.
Oh, and then they,
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Where are we? All right. This is just the way of the spring Sangha and yoga and all activities. We should maybe consider doing outdoor sit one evening for locations. Even maybe we could just like fully the new location. I'm like, we could go down to Ship Street Landing. So close.
Could do the bridge,
The bridge. Yeah, we sit on the
do
bridge.
walking meditation.
That'd be nice. That'd be fun. Well, Laura's going to be here at some point, so they'll be walking in. And we might also get a couple other people wandering in. And this is just the way that it goes. So, oh, hey, how are you? It's like every time I think it's going to be Laura and then it's somebody else. Great to see you. Okay, lovely. Well, you all know each other, but we do have things. So, like, sorry to, point you out, but also, could we all maybe just like share names just so we're not, cookie, because that's the worst. So I'm Court. Great to see all of you.
Steve.
Lovely. Katie, Liza,
David.
Ray.
Jeff.
This is Emma. Okay, so who is pumped to explore a little thinking mind tonight? Yay! Who struggles with thinking? Yay! I know. I was like, oh, perfect. This Overthinkers Anonymous meeting that we have this evening. And, when I'm just gonna like begin with a little listen and then we'll drop in so that we have a nice long time to practice. Okay. I feel like a pervasive question within the community not just our community, but in the larger context of like, what are we doing in this practice and why are we exploring these things when the world is on fire and there's so much that we could be doing in any given moment, to try and help people and to maybe be more out in the world in that way, helping people. And then, we kind of always remember that all action, whether it's beneficial, whether it's helpful and done with a heart that is caring and compassionate, or whether that action is done with a heart that is not caring or filled with a lot of delusion or filled with all of the very, kind of ugly ways that humans can discriminate and harm one another and harm our planet. All of that comes from the relative health and well-being of the mind. It happens from either having a sense of understanding around what's motivating us and not, So a lot of this practice really is the cultivation of beneficial qualities. And it rides on the development of the quality of awareness, which is a natural quality, and it's kind of the ability to understand and to sense all of the sense doors that are happening. So we know that we have the ability to feel, right? To sense, touch, to smell, to taste, to hear, to see. And we also, of course, have this other sense door of the mind. And one of the mind's major activities is thinking. Yeah? It's like the eyes see, the ears, if the ear door works, the ears hear, and the mind thinks. This is just what it does. And so if we have some ability to contribute to a level of steadiness, a level of ease, a level of kind of heartfeltness and pausing and slowness around our decision making, then that's going to be really, really helpful. Where I already have a cushion up here for you. I do. You're right up front because we're streaming from up here tonight. Sorry. Hey, great to see you. Yeah, and it just makes a really big difference in our own lives. And of course, there is this kind of ripple effect out of that being very meaningful for our families and for our immediate communities, but also for those of us who work in the world, which everybody here, most people in here, we have some level of influence outwardly farther than we realize. Yeah. Then, of course, we have that larger influence as well. So this is one way to really care for the mind, is to start to turn towards this sense of thinking and overthinking, getting lost in story, getting lost in concept, and overcomplicating. Right? It's really what the mind does. The thinking mind overcomplicates what's happening. So it's just, start just with a very simple sit and just kind of arriving and grounding for a few minutes here. And then tonight we'll almost do like little exercises, just little simple exercises. Yeah, so just finding whatever's comfortable for you. And maybe that's laying down tonight, maybe that's, being in a different position than usual, totally fine. So just encouraging the sense of settling, grounding, dropping. It's often helpful to feel the sense of the body touching the ground or touching the chair. Maybe feet on the floor, backs of the legs touching, whatever they're touching. And it's very simply knowing what those sensations are. So of course, sometimes it's helpful to use this very well-tuned instrument we have of thinking to help us out. So maybe there's a word that comes to mind for the sensation you're feeling. And maybe that's warmth, pressure, heaviness, fullness, maybe some weight. Connection. Just tuning the mind to what feels steady. Maybe even what feels solid. It might naturally happen to include the sense or of hearing. Just noticing the sounds of the room. Allowing sounds from outside of the room. You may notice occasionally there's like a sound that feels like, oh, the mind sort of identifies that. Maybe an image is constructed in the mind or a word, or again, a series of thoughts. Maybe about what it is, that feeling of trying to figure something out. Just settle back in the body. Feeling with the breath, if that's a natural place for you. Just this simple. Sensing, receiving. Don't have to try, don't have to look for things. Great. Just, yeah, taking a moment, maybe try just lightly moving or swaying the body. Come on in, come in. Whoever. Hey, how are you? Sorry, I didn't change it on the website. That's what I'm remembering right now. What's up? Come in.
George.
Come in, George. I'm so happy you're here. I was like, where's George? George, you're right on time.
I'll just.
Yeah, come on here. This is on me. I'm sorry. Hey, welcome. Okay, so here we are. All right, so as you're here, right, and you kind of like can maybe sense the body, right? Maybe tuning that instrument of just kind of knowing what's happening a little bit more. Yeah, give yourself a moment to just sway or rock a little bit side to side. Right, and it can just be really, really light. Right, and as you're kind of rocking, swaying, can you feel the body moving in space? Okay, it's a really uncomplicated thing to do. We're just sensing. And then as you kind of allow that rocking to pause or to stop, okay, can you still sense the body? Okay, and if you can still sense the body, how do you know? You can sense it, like you feel that quality, that senses. No need to get too wrapped up in that. This is all super, super natural for all of us. It's there. Sometimes it just takes a little disentangling. And then again, just take a moment just to like sway or rock a little bit side to side. And let your body come into stillness when you're ready to. Again, just have that sense. Like, oh, okay. There can still be a sense of knowing. There can be a sense of knowing sensation. And it can just really be that simple. That's okay. So then as we start to explore thinking, we're going to use this as a resource, right? This resource that we have, lovely bodies that all of us are wearing, you know, the meat suit that we have on. And yeah, you just feel free to always check in with that when it's like, sometimes when we explore thinking, for me, when I started kind of playing with this in practice more, it was like immediate that the mind would just move up and it would be like, so like, am I thinking? Is thinking happening? I don't know. Is thinking happening? Oh my gosh, what, you know? It was like just so chatty, really trying to figure everything out. And so what worked well for me was just like, okay, there's some getting lost in this. And I can just find a little movement, or I can, again, for me, like a big resource is the sense of my butt on the cushion, or if I'm sitting in a chair, feet on the floor. Right? For others of you, that might be breath. It might be some other thing that is just very natural for you to notice. Hearing is also a very lovely resource for many people. So trust your own practice with this, okay? And just know that that's always available. So the most technical kind of thing that I'll say tonight is that with thinking, right, it's a little more challenging because like we're doing with this, like, oh, okay, there's a body, right? There's a body. We know we have a body. So there's the object. The object is the sensation that we feel. And then there is awareness, or the knowing of that sensation, okay? So object and the knowing of that object, okay? That's all that's ever happening in our experience. With thinking, because we're so accustomed to moderating all of our experience through that sense door, through the sense door of like, oh, or the activity of the mind, you know, and like liking something and then wanting more of it or not liking it and pushing it away, forming an opinion about it, feeling that, you know, oh, there's just so much going on. Oh, that reminds me of my aunt. Or like, oh, I'm wondering what I'm eating tonight. Oh, something about that music that I just heard going down the street reminded me to download Spotify. Like, it just is so automatic, you know, so automatic. And we miss that it's there. It's kind of like how breath is so automatic, right? If you are alive, whether that breathing is happening on its own, like it does for many of us, or whether you're using a breathing machine, breathing is happening. It has to happen, you know, but because it's so automatic, we forget to notice it. Okay, so thinking is exactly the same way. It's just happening. We just feel complex about it, right? Does anybody in here have complex feelings about thinking? Like, do you love thinking when you need to apply your thought process to something that you're doing, or be creative, or write something, or, you know, share your thoughts? Oh, thinking's great. Thinking's fantastic. What an amazing quality that we have access to. And then we use our minds to think all day long about what we need to do, what we're going to eat, how we're going to work, how we're going to navigate this problem or that problem, or talk to this person or that person, if we're going to take a right or a left turn to go to 7 stars, whatever it might be. And then we sit down to meditate, and it's like, I don't want to think anymore. Thinking is bad. This is not what we're doing, okay? So let's have a little playfulness around this exploration. Because of course, the mind has been conditioned to think a lot. It's been conditioned for years for all of us to think. So we just have to like, oh, take a little bit of time, have a lot of patience, be playful. It's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. All right, so that's just what I ask. It's a process of learning. So let's try this. Okay, go ahead and interlace your hands if they're not already interlaced. As you interlace hands, what sensations do you feel? And how many sensations do you feel? And can you sense how pretty quickly, when the mind is trying to figure something out, it's like, oh, well, I have 10 fingers. Everybody has 10 fingers in here. 9 to 10 fingers, 8 to 10 fingers, we don't know. I have this many fingers, and so there's this many contact points, right? So that's a concept. Right? We're like, oh, I'm sensing hand, so that's a concept. Hand is a concept. It's a thought. There might even be, for your mind, an image of hands or an image of hands touching. Concept, thinking mind. So can we feel, we sense the contact points of the hands touching, the fingers touching? Just notice for you, is that like kind of a broad wash? Does it feel like one sensation? Does it feel like multiple sensations happening at once? Does it feel like multiple sensations happening in different places? Or does it feel kind of like one thing? Okay, that's what's here. You're getting to know how your mind works. There's not a right answer. So if there were no words, if we couldn't use words, which of course we use words all day, if we couldn't use words, what sensations would be there? How would that be described? We can sense that there is an object. There's the knowing of that object. Or is there thinking about that object? And then let's just take a moment and just give a little wiggle. Give a little wiggle. We get up in the head really quickly. Just a little wiggle, jiggle, a little sway. Maybe a sigh. Yawn, stretch, if you need to stretch. Then let the mind settle again. So just settling into wherever it's comfortable, wherever it feels simple, uncomplicated. Right? This quality of awareness in the mind can move, it can shift, and it will pick up different things. So that might be a sound, that might be a sensation. If the eyes are open, it might include seeing. It might include a feeling, like an emotion. Maybe there's some calm, or maybe some confusion. Maybe some doubt. A big doubt day today. Or maybe the mind has gotten on the train the bullet train of thinking, and that's okay too. Right? It will happen. So instead of trying to stop thinking, how do you know that thinking is happening? Are there a lot of images? Is there a physical sensation? Does it maybe feel like the other senses are kind of dulled? And then at any point, we just invite, if we feel like we're getting a bit lost, the mind is really on that track, you just give yourself the opportunity to maybe move a little bit. To touch into what feels uncomplicated. So whatever position you're in, just to lift one hand up. Okay, and just slightly move that hand side to side. So what might feel most obvious first is maybe the sense of air on the skin. And then is it possible to sense inside of the hand, inside of the arm? So if eyes are closed, then how do you know that this hand is moving? Right? That's the quality of awareness. That's the quality of mindfulness. It's that simple knowing. It doesn't have to be complicated. And when you're ready to let go of that, you just let the hand release. Sense the kind of aftertaste of that in the body. So again, letting mind settle into the simplicity of sensations within the body. I would like this to play here. I'm tuning to a different sense door. Okay, so hearing. As soon as you say hearing, maybe there's a sense of like, oh, really perky ears and we're listening. trying to capture what's there. Is it possible to just rest back, right? Let hearing just happen. So as a sound arises, as awareness notices it, and hearing happens. And maybe noticing when there's a difference there between hearing and listening. And starting to sense the quality. Maybe we can also know, are we sensing experience or are we thinking about experience? Are we sensing hearing or are we thinking about hearing? And these are just little playful, they're just playful questions, right? Nobody's going to quiz you on this. It's just like, little seeds to drop. Let it be simple. If it feels like there's some real trying, again, just give yourself a little wiggle jiggle. Letting go of that little exercise, and just again letting yourself rest in whatever feels really, really simple to you. Let's try one more. So again, you don't have to change position, be exactly as you are. And then if eyes are closed, just lightly open the eyes. Right, so seeing. And then we can close the eyes. Just a few times on your own, as many times as you'd like. Just maybe opening the eyes, knowing, seeing, and letting yourself close when you're ready, and then going back and forth like that. You might notice that some thinking mind comes up, like, 4, colors, naming concepts of any kind. And just close the eyes. We're just going back and forth, right? Just going back and forth. Sensing the difference between seeing and looking. So you might even take a moment at this next little time and actually kind of move the eyes around a little bit and feel the difference of looking. This is just allowing there to be seeing. So you kind of sit back, we relax a little bit more. Most of the time we know when there's a lot of thinking happening. For whatever reason, it just feels complex or it feels like, oh my gosh, the mind is so busy right now. Okay. That's awesome. So you know that thinking is happening. That's it. And this is kind of the teaching of the second arrow. Right, so something comes in through the sense door, there's some kind of response to it. In this case, there might be some little proliferation of thought. And then the second arrow comes in for many of us. Oh, I shouldn't be thinking, try to get rid of thinking. Right, there's some dislike of it. Or in other contexts, there might be some craving for thinking. And then if that starts to feel complex, if it starts to feel a little like really winding up in the head, there's a lot of different puzzles here. Just give yourself a little moment. Move the body. Allow it to be simple. Really letting yourself rest in awareness, which might be a little more available right now. So this resting, receiving, letting whatever experience is happening happen. Hearing, sensing, feeling. Thinking. Now, just this starts to really unfold some of the deepest truths of the Dharma on this path. Right? That the struggle, that the stress is not in the thing that's happening. It's not in the experience, it's in the response, in the habituated reaction to it. So all we do is Just rest. Sit back. Allow experience to move through the body, just knowing. I feel a kind of leaning in that happens. Okay, when we go from awareness of an object into getting a little absorbed into the storyline of it. I notice that the mind is a little fatigued. Maybe if it's feeling a little bit dull. Sometimes it's really interesting to see how thoughts respond to that. Maybe that thinking mind responds to that. So it's okay. If the mind is sleepy, that's okay. Let it be sleepy. Just know, like, oh, this is what thinking mind is with sleepy mind. And again, we notice if on the other side of that spectrum, if we're like trying, if we're efforting a little bit too much. It's starting to feel really tight. And just take a moment to loosen the shoulders. To reconnect with the felt sense of the body. And to rest back. Knowing experience directly. We're thinking about experience. Just let me say now. You might notice that we make some meaning from the bell. Like the, it's over. Or that, oh my gosh, there's some relief, or maybe there's a little, I don't know, something. So that would be nice with this group. Take a little time and just go around. There's no pressure to share anything, but you know, it's always so good, I think, to hear language from other people. You know? So maybe just sharing a little bit about your experience, if you'd like to, if you feel comfortable doing so, we'd love to hear from you. So let me give a very solid prompt on that. Did anybody have the sense of knowing when you're thinking? Knowing when there's lots of thinking happening? Okay. That's like if you're a thinking person, right? Like you're like, oh my God, it's a problem, I need to stop thinking. And you know that you're thinking. Okay, great. So let's start there. How for you do you know that you're thinking? Let's just share.
It seems like there's always a sensory component to a thought. It's an image layered with a sound or gesture or a map of some awareness of space or relationship to another person. And it happens so fast, but it's layered. And I don't know, it's like there are moments where there's just an image or just a sensation of the breath, or just the sensation of the body. And there's just awareness, but the single pointedness of it doesn't seem like a thought necessarily. Maybe it is, I don't know, but it's just a thing arising. It seems like it's when there's multiple layers of information. It's like the space in between those things is where the thought seems like it is. And it happens so fast. It's so easy to get swept away.
Okay, so I'm just going to repeat that for the people who are joining online, but repeating the best that I can, and then feel free to just like add in. So for you, you notice thinking because it feels multi-layered. There's images, there's body sensation, there's some kind of like ease of getting pulled into it. You feel that sense of getting pulled in. Okay, great. Are there, I guess just as a follow-up, like is there a specific place in the body where there's body sensation?
I mean, I feel sensation everywhere, and I feel a lot of sensation in here connected to energy like stress and anxiety and sadness and happiness.
How do you know that that's energy of stress, anxiety, sadness?
Well, yeah, I mean, because it's attached to a thought and a concept that I label stress and anxiety. So then I do notice that if I like pay attention to the thoughts and the thoughts unravel, there are moments where there's just sensation there, but it's just like any other sensation. It doesn't have any meaning. And there's also like a sensation of like awareness of what it would feel like. Like if I had an itch and I thought like, oh, I gotta itch it. Like there's a feeling of like where the impulse would live in my body and awareness of what the shape of my body and where that would be. And then the awareness of the thought of like, no, let me just sit with this and pay attention to the itch. So yeah, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you for sharing. That resonate with anybody else? You have a differing experience? Like it's so good. Everybody's mind is so different. So it's like truly the more we can hear, the better, honestly.
The only time I ever feel a thought, and maybe the feeling comes first and the thought comes later, it's related to anxiety as well. And I'm feeling really anxious, what's happening every day, then I realize what's going on and I think about it. But normally I found when I first started sitting several years ago, one of the things, we'd go from, we meditate on different things, the breath or the sight or smells. And the thing I always found most difficult was meditating on thought, because I haven't done it in a long time, but I found myself almost manufacturing thought. I'm sitting there and is there a thought coming and am I making myself do this? Okay, and then that's supposed to be, it's the, one of the tools was that I thought I was thinking about a leaf falling on a stream and just letting that be the thought, and it eventually goes away and another leaf falls back. I had a really hard time with that. Just what's a real thought versus what's something I'm looking for to focus on that thought, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can feel, like I used in the email that I sent out, talking about the jungle of the mind, because it can feel like we're going into this very like generally rich, dense area, that seems difficult to navigate. And when as soon as it's always happens this way, or seems to always happen this way, that like we're like, okay, I'm gonna practice with thinking. And so we go into the jungle where there could be like a whole bunch of different species of birds and frogs and cool cats and lemurs or whatever. I don't know what kind of ecosystem we're in. There could be any number of different creatures, and we show up and it's like we have like a tin suit on, like and we're covered in bells, and we're like, I'm waiting for you, it's like, I'm here to watch thinking. And so then all of a sudden, like all of the thoughts are gone, and it can just feel like, oh, well, now that I'm trying to see them, they're not there, but that too is also thinking. It's like, yeah, so it can, that slippery feeling is very common, and I think that is like what you're describing of this, like, okay, it's this gently floating leaf on a stream, just letting the thought land and just do its thing. Yeah, it's really great analogy. It's beautiful. To not like arrest it, just let it slide. Yeah, if we keep moving with the attitude that like anything that we encounter in this type of practice, in this practice, if that any of the challenging emotions or thinking mind or whatever, rumination, all of those things are problematic, then we can never learn from them. We want to learn, it's a practice of learning, we want to learn from them. We want to learn how the mind works. So cool. It's like we can learn the anatomy of the body. This is kind of like learning the anatomy of the mind. But it's also a little bit individual.
I just think it's interesting now I'm thinking about it. Now my thought. I had pain during the sit, so I had to shift, and it's like, was I feeling the sensation and then thinking about it and thinking, I need to shift my body, I need to lie down. That's the thought. But the sensation of pain, it's sort of like, I don't know, just thinking about pain a little bit, and if people felt the sensations and didn't necessarily think, it would be a different experience. I don't know what I'm saying, but you know what I mean? I work with people with chronic pain, and I need to go deeper with that, I think.
I had a lot of, well, I have a lot of back pain at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the beginning of this was just focused around, I've been sitting all day. And this isn't quite comfortable yet. And then attached to this thought of pain is almost like this either anxiety or maybe it's